What's going on, everybody? This is Game Stringer here, and I gotta say, it feels pretty nice to be back in the recording seat again. And today's video will actually be something I've never actually done before. This is going to be both a deck profile video, which basically involves showing off the deck that I used in the first episode of Kaijus, my POV of it anyway, and, as well as an update on the series itself and what's going on with the channel. So before I dig into all of that, I want to apologize for the lack of uploads onto this channel. Let's just say a lot of stuff in my life got pretty hectic, and so therefore I kind of had to put my recording stuff on hold. Let's just say there was a lot on my plate, unfortunately. But now I thought about trying to, get back out there, being able to see all you guys again, and being able to, try and get back and making some cool content. So, about the whole series thing, that's still gonna be a bit of trouble. In case some of you are wondering, when is episode 2 coming out? Well, that question, however, I don't know how to really answer that at this moment. Let's just say there was kind of a bit of an issue. I tried doing some recording stuff. I continued asking again and again when the recording session was going to start, and unfortunately I didn't get any feedback about it yet until one day they did notify me about it, only it wasn't through a direct message, it was through the server itself, and unfortunately the account I was using didn't get me a said notification on it, and therefore I missed out on the recording session. So yeah, that was a fault on my part, unfortunately, and so the plot I had written down for the second episode, I kind of basically had to unfortunately scrap it, even though it took a couple of hours to be able to try and put everything in its proper order, but it's okay. It kind of took me a while actually, but I managed to write down a whole new script for episode 2, and I'm just still working out the little bits and pieces for it, but I will assure you, the POV of Kaijus on my end is going to continue. It's just taking a bit longer than expected to be able to get things ready. But I assure you, Kaijus will continue. Now, this is the deck that I'll be using in the Kaijus. As you can clearly see, I'm known as Psycho Lockhart, which is part of the Lockhart family of the series. Some of you may be familiar with it, some of you may not. For me, I'll be using the Red Eyes archetype. I basically made it sort of like a dragon kind of thing. But yes, there's going to be dragons in here from 3 red eyes, 3 with different kind of artwork styles. This one is actually kind of my favorite. Then we got the classical Summon Skull, pretty neat, good for fusion summoning, and very good for offense as well. Then of course we have the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, good for special summoning dragons to the field, and actually very easy to bring out too, thanks to its ability. Then there's Alternative Black, similar to Alternative White in a way, except it can be summoned by tributing a Red Eyes instead of Alternative Blue revealing a Blue Eyes. It's definitely good for offensive plays, as well as being able to be good for getting raw power on the field. Then of course Black Flare Dragon, good for offense and effect damage. Then we have Destrudo. He is basically the main tuner for this deck, for the most part. Since I mostly run level 4s and 3s, it's a pretty good thing to have in here, so it's good for both Synchro and Xyz summoning, and Fusion summoning too, that as well. Also, it can be very easily brought out, and it has only 1,000 attack points, so it can easily be summoned thanks to Mass Dragon. Then, of course, we have the Red Eyes Soul, one of the one of the newer Red Eyes cards, which is good for both defense, offense, and effect damage as well. And its defense is pretty okay for a level 7. Then of course we have the Red Eyes Archfiend of Lightning. Very good effect when it's Gemini summoned. Very good offensively as well. Not too keen on the defense points, though. Kinda wish I had more, but it's a good monster. Then we have the Meteor Dragon Red Eyes Impact. This is definitely good for protection of other Red Eyes stuff. And its defense is pretty good as well. Can easily be brought out by sacrificing one monster. Then of course, Red Eyes Wyvern, good for summoning Red Eyes and Xyz stuff. Then of course, Gearfried, the Red Eyes Iron Knight, which I'm quite shocked that this thing wasn't a dragon, to be honest. I mean, it's kind of expected since regular Gearfried's a warrior, so therefore the Red Eyes Gearfried is also a warrior. Definitely good for destroying spells and traps, as well as being able to bring back Red Eyes monsters. And of course, Retro Dragon, good for resurrection support, and being able to get some defense on the field. Then of course, as you know, Keeper of the Shrine, good for Dragon decks. Smash Dragons, definitely good for floaters. Then Red Eyes Baby Dragon, definitely good for getting Red Eyes stuff out, as well as being able to work in coalition with Gearfried. Then of course, Black Metal Dragon as well, very good for defensively, and actually Red Eyes and Baby Dragon and Black Metal Dragon are definitely good for searchability as well, thanks to the other effects. And Black Metal Dragon's good for getting support power to your monsters. Then of course, another good for searchability through my deck and summoning it to the field, anything Red Eyes related, to Blackstone of Legends. So yeah, so for the monsters, I'd say I have a pretty good balance of them. Good for defensively and offensive plays, good for searchability, and sort of other stuff that I can work into this. Then of course there are the spell cards that I have in here. I kind of ran more spells than traps because that's more my style when it comes to dueling in some ways. So yes, 1 for 1, I kind of run this card for these level 1 monsters, though I can get them out quicker if I can't really get them out right away. Then of course, there's Red Eyes Fusion, good for fusion summoning. Then we also have Return of the Dragon Lords, good for protecting high level dragons as well as bringing them back to the field. Very good spell card. Then of course we have this one, Greater Polymerization, which is actually something I haven't really used much, actually. It's something I actually want to try in the series, because this spell is actually quite good, actually. So as you can tell, I run 5-headed dragon in here, with a cool artwork, by the way. So yeah, he is actually a very good offensive creature, as well as being able to be protected from anything except for light, which is unfortunate. But thanks to its special ability, it can't be destroyed by basically any kind of monster with a certain attribute, and it has 5,000 attack and defense points. And with Greater Polymerization, I'd be able to protect 5-headed from being destroyed by effects as well, making it almost indestructible, as well as giving him piercing damage out there. That's quite a game changer. Now, you're probably wondering, why would I run a spell, well, say like Greater Polymerization, when that spell card, well, can only give you more problems? Well, there's a reason behind that. You see, since Greater Polymerization requires me to use 3 or more monsters, it would leave me quite open to any kind of counterplay, which is why I run this trap card in here, Chain Material. Anytime I would fusion summon a monster, I can remove cards from my deck and grave for play when I fusion summon it. So basically I can combo this with Greater Polymerization and summon this guy to the field, and it can't be destroyed by Chain Material because normally the trap would destroy the fusion monster I summon with it, but the Greater Poly actually protects the dragon. So that basically makes it easier to summon the 5-headed using the spell. So yeah, very good combination. Then of course, Card of the Red Stone, good Red Eyes card for drawing cards, as well as getting some stuff in the grave. Then there's Heretic Seal of Creation. Another thing I'm still trying to work into this deck. Since I run Heliopolis in this deck, this spell makes it easier to summon it to the field. But since I have a few Dragon XCs in this deck, it makes it easier to be able to bring out Heliopolis. Actually, the only way to bring out Heliopolis, unless I do a tag duel with Ryan when he's using his blue eyes. So yeah, that also works as well. Still kind of working out the kinks to that. Then of course, Inferno Fire Blast. You know, good for dealing damage right away if I can't exactly do any normal attacks with Red Eyes. Then of course, the classical fusion spell Dragon's Mirror. Then Gold Sarcophagus, Gold Searchability. Monster Reborn, a good resurrection card. Red Eyes Insight, definitely good for searchability for Red Eye stuff. Then Twin Twisters, definitely good for being able to destroy spell or traps. Then we have the Storming Mirror Force. I thought about using one of the other Mirror Forces or the regular one, but this one just seemed more strategically better, since it returns all monsters in attack mode to the hand. So yeah, definitely good strategically. Then of course, Bottomless Trap Hole, definitely good for getting rid of monsters my opponent tried to summon that could be a bit annoying. Then yes, Chain Material, as I talked about a few minutes ago. Then Red Eye Spirit, good resurrection for Red Eye stuff. Then of course, Pinpoint Guard, a good protection card both defensively and getting something onto my field. Then Guard Dragon Cataclysm. Now I know this trap is specifically more for the Guard Dragon archetype, but I felt like, you know, since I run mostly dragons, this trap would actually be better for this, because I can combo this with other stuff in my deck like Black Metal, because since it was sent to the grave, I can add a Red Eye Sting to my hand. It can be able to be worked with Guard Dragon to be able to destroy 2 cards my opponent controls and being able to get a search. So yeah, that's definitely a pretty good trade-off. Then there's Red Eye's Burn, sort of a double-edged sword. Definitely good for getting my opponent take some serious damage if they try and get rid of one of my Red Eyes cards with one of his or her card. Then, of course, Lost Wind. Definitely good for the extra deck shenanigans my opponent tried to throw my way, as well as being able to negate their effect and have their attack points. And it can actually be used twice since it has a graveyard effect when my opponent special summons from the extra deck. So yeah, that's definitely good, but it sort of unfortunately gets removed from play, so that's something I gotta watch out for. Then, of course, there is Level Resist Wall. Some of you may be familiar with this trap, some of you may not, but this trap is actually good for use of high-level monsters, actually. So, let's just say one of my Red Eyes cards were ever to get destroyed. This trap would allow me to summon at least monsters from my deck whose combined level equal Red Eyes. So, since Red Eyes is basically a level 7, I'd basically be able to bring up at least up to 3 monsters to the field. Like, say, a Masked Dragon, a Baby Dragon, and a Black Metal Dragon. So yeah, that equals 7, so I get 3 monsters for the price of 1. They won't have their effects when they're on the field, but when they're destroyed by battle, that's a completely different story. So that way their effects still pop off, so I get more defense on the field. So yeah, that's a very good trade-off for this instance. Then, of course, we have Return of the Red Eyes, another resurrection card for Red Eyes related things, or the resurrection of Summoned Skull, and Impact, and Archfiend of Lightning. Then we also have the Dark Bride Trap, classical for stopping spells or traps. Then, of course, Solemn Warning, in case I have to deal with any Kaijus shenanigans. It cost me 2,000 life points, yes, but it's worth the price for getting rid of something that's very pesky on my opponent's field. Then, of course, we have the extra deck-related things. 5-Headed Dragon, definitely strong. Archfiend Black Skull, definitely good for stopping my opponent from doing anything crazy, as well as dealing some direct damage. Burst of the Dragons, definitely good in this kind of meta, since there's a lot of effect monsters involved. This would make a very good counter for those. Then, of course, the Meteor Black Comet, definitely good for offensive plays, as well as being worked as defense and resurrection support, as well as putting the Red Eye stuff in the grave, so that's good. Then there's Red Eyes Slash Dragon. Now this this one I'm still trying to figure out. Since I only have one warrior in here, it's not really gonna do much good, but it's definitely good when I need to negate something that targets one of my stuff, so that's good. Then we have the Synchros, Red Dragon Archfiend. I actually had a Synchro monster before the Archfiend, but unfortunately it was banned, so I kind of had to put Red Dragon Archfiend in here in replace of it. I mean, it's a good effect. It basically destroys all the monsters in attack mode. Definitely a good trade. Then Exploder Dragon Wing, another good card for getting rid of my opponent's monsters that do not like to go away, and was dealing some serious damage to my opponent. Then we have Old Entity Hastor. Not a very strong creature, but definitely good for a counter to any serious monster my opponent tries to, throw my way. As well as being able to use that monster for myself in case I try to get rid of the entity. So that's definitely a very good card to have in this kind of meta. Then of course we have Heliopolis, a powerful dragon that rivals the Blue Eyes, as well as a very good effect, as long as I have a good amount of monsters for the sacrifices for its ability. Then we have the classical Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, can't be destroyed by effects when it has material, as well as making my opponent take damage every time they do something, so it kind of really limits their options in their plays. Because if they try and take so many plays in one turn, they're going to end up taking some serious damage to their life points. So that kind of limits the amount of plays they do in about a couple of turns. Then we have the Dark Armed Dragon of Annihilation. Definitely very easy to Xyz summon when I have some monsters in my grave. And very good effect to destroy cards, that's definitely good. Then we actually have something that is not a dragon, but more like sort of good for level 7s. The Mecha Phantom Beast Dracosac. Definitely good for both protection and offensive plays. Then, of course, we have the Tornado Dragon, a very good card when dealing with spells and traps. And has some decent attack points as well, so that's very good, and easy to summon just by using 2 regular level 4s. Then we have Galaxy Stealth Dragon. Sort of another good dragon card when I need to summon a dragon right away without having to use anything I already have on the field. And yeah, it's very, very good actually. When I use it with the Heretic Seal of Creation to bring out Heliopolis. I have at least 3 dragons I can use with the spell, so that's good. Then last but not least, we have Castel. Again, not a dragon like Tornado or Dracosac, but it still has a pretty decent effect. Basically allowing me to get rid of one of my opponent's monsters, again, do not like to go away, by shuffling it back into the deck. And as for these are actually cards I actually want to try and integrate later on in the series, actually. We have the classical Red Eyes Darkness Dragon, which is basically sort of a good power play if I have enough dragons in the grave. I'm trying to work on a strategy with a certain trap card with this thing. I'm still trying to workshop on that. Then of course we have this one, the Red Eyes Black Meteor Dragon, which is definitely good for both Xyz and fusion summoning. I'm going to see how I can be able to integrate this into the deck as well. I'm, again, still trying to workshop this. Then we have this. This trap card is definitely good when you're dealing with a lot of fusion players. Curse Seal of the Forbidden Spell. By discarding a card of your own, you basically gate the spell your opponent plays, and they can't play that spell anymore for the rest of the duel that is going on. So this is very good against basically invoked players, or when we're dealing with any sort of basically any kind of fusion archetype that revolves around like polymerization or a certain fusion spell. So again, definitely a good counter for that, as well as any spells that tend to be a bit of a nuisance. So yeah, this is basically the deck I run. I mean, I've had a couple of good luck with this. I mean, it's definitely good for the most part. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can make any tweaks to it later on. Try and add some things, take out some things. Try to see how I can be able to keep that, well, nice and well flowing. So yeah, that is basically my deck. Now on to the serious discussions. Now, I'm trying to see how I can be able to get this plot better flowing. Trying to see what I can do to replace the one I kind of had to write down. It will take some time, that is true, but I did get a good start on it, so I'll be able to get that underway in probably in a week or so, at my best guess. But anyway, I would like to thank you all for being quite patient with my absence. I am again truly sorry I wasn't able to do any uploads as before. It like I said, the IRL stuff kind of seriously cut down my recording schedule, so I kind of had to put that on hold for a long time, basically over a year since the first episode was put into play. But not to worry, the series will go on, and I will try and record at a much more... The schedule will be reworked to see how I can be able to integrate them into, well, my daily life schedule. You know, try and get these out a lot quicker, or at least as fast as I possibly can. But anyway, I would like to thank you all for watching the video, being able to see, well, basically able to get a quick look at the deck I'm going to be running later on in the series and the POV. Well, the POV of the series I'm in, Attack of the Kaijus. And let me know if there's anything, if any questions you have for the series, be sure to let me know in the comments below. I'll be sure to answer them as often as I can. And honestly, I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, it is really good to be back in the recording seat, and honestly, I hope I can be able to continue to make this channel flourish, and hopefully with your support, I'll be able to make that into a reality. So, this is GameStringer signing off. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a good day.